So speaking of liberal arts, now it's a film that stars yourself and also Elizabeth Olsen in it as your love interest in there. Now, in the film, she's a particular fan of a book called Twilight and a trilogy, isn't she?
We don't say the name of the book. It could be any vampire book. I can't believe you thought it was that book.
Now, she loves it. Your character, Jesse, doesn't quite share her feelings.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on the great Twilight debate?
Well, I guess I can say that I haven't really read it. And I don't, I'm actually, they have a big argument about that book, and I think she wins that argument. It's kind of an argument about the why one reads. Do we read to be entertained, or do we read to be kind of enriched? And I think that that's a really interesting debate among people who create things. I'm most interested in things that are are good for you, but are also kind of page turners. I don't think, like she says she read Chaucer and she hated it, and he says you're not supposed to like it, and she says then why read it? And I think they have a really interesting discussion about that. But I think that honestly, anything, there's kind of this explosion of young adult books that all these adults are reading, and there's debates about whether that's good. I think anytime people are reading books on actual printed pages, I think that this is good, because I remember when I was a kid, I used to read all those S.E. Hinton books, like The Outsiders and Rumblefish and Tex and all that. And I think they're good books, but it got me in love with reading, just sitting down with a book and having a story told to you. So if people want to read those books, but hopefully it'll bring them to other reading experiences, not just those. I don't understand why everyone's obsessed with vampires. That's just me, but they don't interest me as a. There are other monsters that I'm more taken with. I'm kidding. I don't know.
And so how much fun was it having Elizabeth Reaser involved in the film then?
Yeah. That's cool that you caught that, because that's, I think, a really good in-joke of the movie, because she's in the Twilight movies. I love Liz. I've known her since we were at, I was at NYU when she was at Juilliard, so I've known her for years, and we've been friends, and I've always wanted to work with her. And I had this role, and I just had this hunch that she'd be great in it, and my hunch paid off, because I think she's so great, and she loves all the Twilight stuff. She gets such a kick out of it.
I want to ask you about the setting for the film, because it's set at a college in Ohio that's pretty special for you and your family as well, isn't it? Tell us a little bit about that.
It's a school called Kenyon College. It was founded in, I think, 1824, and my father went there. And I did not want to go to the same school my father went to, but something very strongly called me there, and it wasn't really family as much as I just felt when I got on the campus that it felt like my school somehow. And my younger sister ended up going there also, so it's a family kind of tradition at this point. And it's just a great school. There's the Kenyon Review is a famous literary magazine that came out of there. It still publishes. John Crowe Ransom and Robert Lowell, E.L. Doctorow went there, famous novelist. Paul Newman went there. Allison Janney went there, who's an actress in my movie. So it was great and we shot the movie there, and they welcomed us back with open arms and didn't censor anything from the script. So I think they were really keen on having us there. It was great.
And finally, in the movie as well, Zibby, played by Elizabeth Olsen, makes you a mixtape of classical music, or a mixed CD. When was the last time you made a mixtape for someone, or someone made one for you?
I make them all the time. I make a few for the cast every year on my TV show. That's like a thing I've done since the beginning. I've slowed down a bit, and they've been on me about that because they like them. I do that with some regularity. I mean, and a lot of people who've seen the movie want the music, and there's not a soundtrack yet, obviously. So I've been burning a couple of those CDs for people, because I think it's a lot of that music. Some of it's well-known classical music, and some of it's less well-known, and a lot of people get really hooked by it, and that's a thrill for me, because I think for people to have this experience that Jesse's having, which is being awakened to this whole new world through music. And I hope lots of people discover. The last few years for me has been really exciting in terms of discovering a lot of this classical music, so I'm happy to bring it to people.
And you mentioned the show there very quickly. Do you think your character Ted would be taken by Zibby?
Well, yeah, but who wouldn't be? But I mean, he'd screw it up in his spectacular fashion, I'm sure, or well. Hasn't he been teaching architecture? Yes, I think that's right. And it seems like he's been pretty decent around the students.
Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you very much, Josh.
Okay, good to talk to you.